you said you played professional hockey. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
What was the biggest hit you ever took out on the ice? Do you remember do you remember, was there one in your mind that sticks out to you?
It's ironic because when you get hit that hard, you never forget. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
Hey everybody, it's JP from WEB3 TEA. I'm here today with my faithful compatriot Matt Bartlett, and we're here with Locker Token, a really cool Web3 project aimed at professional sports fans, trying to cultivate an ecosystem that brings together the players and the fans within the Web3 platform. So very excited to be here. It's going to be a great show, and take it away, Matt.
I want to welcome Pat and Dennis. In our first discussion on Locker Token, not only did I find the Locker Token application easy to navigate, I found that their experience in the sports industry combined with the passion that sports fans are having around Web3 could make serious waves. Not just around the sport of hockey, but maybe even positively affect the relationship that athletes in general have with their fan base. So thank you both for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
The one thing I like about this project right off the bat, and it's the same thing I like about Web3 video game projects, is that it's attacking white space. It's attacking an opportunity in that there's already an engaged user base. There's already people who love hockey and love sports. And so it's not trying to take crypto and build something out of the crypto community. It's trying to integrate an existing community with a crypto platform. So that's kind of how I think about this right off the bat too. So Pat and Dennis, can you describe Locker Token in a nutshell? What are you building here?
Yeah, 100%. Just to carry on what you just said there, the fact that the project right here is addressing a need that the industry has. I believe the next wave of crypto is adoption, real world integrations where blockchain benefits actually improve the current standard. And Pat, he's one of the largest hockey agents in the world. They represent nearly 400 players. And when Pat and I originally met a year ago in regards to this project, it was about solving real world issues. And in that case, it was player payments, international players that are American or Canadians playing in Russia, Sweden, etc., having issues accessing money, especially if they move around. And like you said, the whole project right here is based around integrating blockchain benefits into the existing operations of these teams and setting these teams up to be Web3 friendly.
So you're working on this, and you're still you're still a NHL agent right now.
So I'm not an NHL agent. We represent players. So we go the other way. So our business is we take North American professionals, Canadians and Americans, and we place them all over Europe and Russia. So we have players in UK, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Austria, Germany, Switzerland, Czechoslovakia, Slovakia, Russia. We deal with these teams on a daily basis. It's what we do all day. Over my lifetime, I played professionally all over Europe. I coached professionally all over Europe, Switzerland, Italy, Germany. The list goes on. Always been a nightmare moving money. Banks, even in 2022, are still decentralized entities. Are very difficult to deal with. Not only do you lose money in fees, the time and consuming, and it's just a lot. And anyone that's wired money knows it's not that easy task, like sending crypto to someone instantly. So that's kind of how this whole thing started. We were like, Dennis, is there a way that we can integrate payroll, and a guy that's playing in Russia can send money to his wife who's living in Canada who needs money immediately? How would we do that? Obviously with crypto, easily, fast, instant. And we're not talking Bitcoin, Ethereum. We were talking with stable coins because we all know the fluctuations in the crypto prices and stuff. So that's kind of how it all started from the player perspective. And then we looked at it from the team perspective, smart contracts, escrow payments, all these things that we deal with on a daily basis. When a player signs in Sweden, for example, he has to receive a ton of money before he enters the country, or the team in Sweden is taxed at a 70-80% tax rate. So this sign-on money comes to this player, and sometimes the player shows up and doesn't work out, and that team loses all that money they paid him up front. So with escrow payments and these contractual things that we could have on the blockchain, they control these payments, and the player never has to be in the country. So that's kind of how the whole platform started. And then we started to look at, how can we benefit teams? How can we generate more revenue where it can benefit the players, the teams, and it's a win-win? Because obviously the more money a team can make, the more money he can pay the players, right? Kind of a win-win is how we were looking at it. And that's where we started looking at NFTs and how we can integrate all this. And that's how the platform was developed. That's how we got to where we are today after a lot of trials and tribulations. And that's where we are.
It's a lot. I mean, so it sounds to me like, well, it sounds to okay. Here, it sounds. So we talked to our second to last guest we had on. This person was building an advisor platform for you to understand their crypto, and they got into it because he was working with freelancers in other parts of the world, and he was having a very hard time paying his freelancers. So it sounds like you get into this, arena because of payment issues, basically, because you're trying to reduce payment frictions. And then you say, wait a minute, there's maybe a lot more that I can do. So I guess my question is the payment platform live and operational? And then the NFT stuff's coming down the line? Or like, where are you, in terms of full launch of the Locker Token platform?
The platform is operational right now. We're fully integrated with everything. We've actually got pro teams now as our headlines and our, I guess I would call them our partners, but they're the first to use the platform on a daily basis in live game. And I'll let Dennis elaborate a little more on the particulars of the platform and what we have currently today.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's exactly it. We, like Pat said, we're fully operational. We already have our ties, in the actual operations of these teams. Our first partner with the European Champions League winner of 2022, Team Rogel. It's a Swedish team. Just to go back to, and then we have the Manchester Storm, which was our second announced partners. And we actually have several partners lined up that we're going to announce here over the coming weeks strategically. The nice thing here is that these teams are open, to this adoption. They know that a new trend, a digital world is upon us, right? They've all heard about Bitcoin, but that's usually where it ends. Most people think cryptocurrency is Bitcoin, and they think that's, where it ends. When you start telling them about, the new trends of Web3, things that are taking place, around them, we're giving them the infrastructure available to integrate these things into operations without having to have massive development costs, without having to have new staff in place to facilitate this next move. So our whole angle right now is to basically provide these teams with the infrastructure, the ecosystem, to have the full Web3 experience that they can integrate, offer their players, their fans, and enjoy all of that without having to undergo internal development. The back end is basically provided by Locker Token as a one-stop shop that these teams can plug into. Yes, it all started with payroll, but it's going to be a little while before teams, are switching to that 100%. So our focus right now is mostly on the NFTs, which allows the teams to generate a new revenue stream and kind of ride along, the current trends of NFTs. So we know that eventually it's going to end up with us facilitating, payroll and all of that. But the first step strategically to take is to make the NFT marketplace available to these teams to plug into, provided by industry people like Pat, who's so well connected and is pushing this forward. Allowing these teams to plug something into the operations that actually brings something back. And, when most people hear NFTs, they think, monkey pictures, right? Just to put it bluntly. But there's much more than that, right? Our whole approach really is to make NFTs available to capture live game moments, okay? Moments that only exist once in time and are now captured on chain, in our case, Ethereum and Polygon, and allowing fans to purchase these live game moments, authenticated by the team. Our app is a full ecosystem. So it starts with a non-custodial wallet, just like MetaMask, everything is on chain. We don't hold any funds. Everything is true EMV. And after people have the first tool they need to operate in Web3, which is the address, we can now open up the rest. And from there on, they can have, transactions. From there on, they can have fund transfers. They can have, like Pat said, escrow payments, all of these things. And in our case, the NFT marketplace that we focused heavily on providing, all things that these teams can now enjoy and utilize And all they have to do is really partner, get into locker room ecosystem, and they're ready to offer the best of the industry to their fans.
So one of the questions I was going to ask you is, what's your strategy for onboarding new users? And when we talk to people like projects, video game projects or advisor-focused projects, it's about kind of trying to connect to the public. How are we going to get 1 million new users to download a wallet? Sounds to me like you're really focused on how to get organizations onboarded into your crypto because you're trying to get these teams on board. Is that how I should think? Is that how you're thinking about it right now?
So I'll just jump in. So right now, we're talking about teams in Europe. We're focused there right now. There's 220 teams in Europe. When you take all those countries I've mentioned earlier, when you take just the live fan base in game, for example, Rogo has 7,000 sold out every night. We are advertising live in game to them on their Jumbotron. So there's 7,000 people in the stands that have never seen crypto before. See this video on the Jumbotron, NFTs, own the moment, download the app, QR code comes up, they can scan it right from their phone. We're basically bringing in a whole new ecosystem of people that had no idea what NFTs and crypto are. We're basically creating a whole new adoption. And when you take every team that we're dealing with, every league, there's about 50 million people a year live in these stadiums over the course of a season. Those are the new fans. Those are the people we're trying to attract, and those are the people we're bringing into the crypto industry.
So we're watching the game, we're in the stands, and something cool happens. Somebody, scores a goal, or there's a nice play on the ice. Is there somebody who's like live that moment? Like by the end of the game, there's an NFT that's been minted and it's getting dropped in your wallet after you get the QR code. Is there like a team from your operation there packaging that up? Can you talk through that?
Yeah, great question. So as I've been talking about this more and more lately, so if you take 5-6 years ago, so I've spent a lifetime in the industry. I go back 25 years ago when merchandise sales, people didn't wear shirts to the games. They didn't have ball caps. Now merchandise sales are 20 to 30% of a team's revenue. Massive, right? We see NFTs as drawing a percentage of that merchandise sales. That's the first part of it. The second part of it, the live to your question, is 5 years ago that no team had a guy that was live in the press box, tweeting out live scores, live highlights, Instagram moments, Facebook moments, live. Well, that same guy, so teams don't have to hire anyone else. That same guy they have can spend 10 more minutes a game. Wow, that live moment he just tweeted out, boom. Now he can upload it to the Locker app, mint that NFT, put it up for auction. If it happened in the first period, they can say you have till the end of the third period to bid on this. So everyone in the stands can do that, right? And that's the idea behind it all. So that's where we're going with this, and we already had teams doing it. So we're just right there on changing the whole industry again.
So you have a way. So first of all, these are all one-of-one NFTs for the most part, and somebody scores a hat trick. They get to say, hey, not only was I there, I own that moment and I could prove it.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. That's how this whole business plan works. And we've got the teams and everyone says, well, what if the game's over? Well, no problem. I mean, the teams could give, it's an overtime goal. You have 30 minutes till the end of the game. The arena's empty to bid on that NFT, right? That's the whole business strategy. And it's all it's created in our blockchain on our smart contract. The teams get the largest percentage of the money when they sell it. They don't have to do anything. It's all automated. You guys know how the blockchain works. So team mints the NFT, puts it up for sale. Fans in the stand, even at home auction on TV, can bid on it, right? And then the winner of that auction will be able to buy that moment in time.
That sounds really cool. And me and Matt are crypto dorks, so this sounds cool to us because this is what we do. But I mean, I'm just curious. So you've got 2 live teams doing this, and so can you talk like how much what's the biggest one that's ever sold for? How many have you sold? Anything like that? I mean, I'm not expecting you to say $1 million or whatever, but I'm interested to know kind of, that sounds very exciting to me. Like if I was at a hockey, I mean, me and Bartlett went to the Rangers game and they were doing that, I know Bartlett would be emptying his wallet. So is there demand there? I mean, like, is there real demand there? Like, it sounds like there should be.
Right now it's education, so there's two lines of NFTs we're bringing out. The NFTs we've minted so far have been, trading card styles, a little bit more of the traditional stuff, right? But yes, it's really all education. We've received emails, from the team saying, hey, look, we need to have a little bit more educational material here. People don't quite understand how to buy, MATIC and onboard with their credit cards, which all things are quite easily done through our app. You can swipe your credit debit card and you can own Ethereum in literally, 5 minutes and then, buy your NFTs or with MATIC. But yes, we're definitely seeing that it's still Spanish to most people and there's a big education aspect behind it. But our whole angle of marketing this is through the teams. We basically provide the infrastructure, we provide the app, and the teams, from there, introduce it to their fan base, educating their fan base, and making the adoption taking place like that. So yes, it's gonna take a little bit of time. We've had quite a few sales. I think there's like 300 NFTs that have been minted on the app so far. But yes, it's by far nowhere near its height. We're seeing that it is gonna require education, but the excitement is there, the demand is there, and we're seeing it. We're seeing it in our app downloads, and we're seeing it, with the engagement that's taking place. So we all know that the trend is coming. We're basically setting these teams up to be ready for it when it hits full force.
So is there ever going to be a scenario where you have a player who has a lot of NFTs? Let's just say it's a top goal scorer, right? And someone collects these NFTs. Is there a way for the player to almost build their own community and say, maybe that player says, hey, next game, I bought a section of 10 seats. I want you to come sit in my section and thank you for your fandom. Do you see that sort of community building exercise taking place?
100%. We see not only that, we see the value in for the teams and the player to say, okay, the people that own this NFT are going to have exclusive meetings to meet this player, to get autographs, to have dinner with the team, special events with the team, private discounts on merchandise, private practices where they can bring their kids and get autographs, like all these different things that the NFTs can bring them, the utility. So we see all that as well. And one of the things I wanted to add was our platform does it all. And we're basically giving these teams plus the graphics, because Dennis is incredible. You should see the graphics that Dennis creates. We also give them the graphics, and they can basically just drag and drop the photos, the highlights, the live moments into like this wicked cool background that's with their team logo and stuff, and sell that. So we're giving them all to them free. Their job is to just take that one guy and have him do a little extra work. So you can imagine how the teams are really responsive when you're giving them all this for basically free, and they make all this money for the potential to, and the fans want it. The fans are excited. And I think it's just going to take a little time before we can get mass adoption in the sports world.
Yeah, that's one thing me and Matt are really focused on is the education part. And, we launched an NFT, the VanEck Community NFT, which Matt's the head of. And it was like, you have to do the FAQ blog, you have to do the step-by-step how to download a wallet blog. And then you still have people saying, well, I want the NFT, but I don't want to download a wallet. And you're like, okay, well, then you don't really want the NFT. It's kind of interesting. And it just is what it is. So like, we both have some experience, paddling upriver a little bit. So, cause I was looking at the website and I saw, the cards. And are there any like licensing issues that you're having to navigate, with regards to the team's jersey, uniform, all that kind of stuff? Like, because I know in the United States, the various sports leagues like NFL are very protective of their league IP, right? Like you couldn't, I don't think right now how it has set up is you couldn't take a clip of a football player and make an NFT of it and sell it without getting sued by the NFL, right? So are you partnering with the league itself, or can you talk anything about like the licensing that comes up to it, if it comes up at all?
No, it certainly does. So that's why our angle is with the teams, because the teams all have the ability to promote from a league perspective. So like Rogla, they have a guy that does live pictures, live moments, all those things with the TV. They have the rights to those moments, so they have the ability to sell them. We couldn't sell them. So that's why we have to go through the team, and the team has the ability to do that. So it's a little bit different where I just can't walk into a game, start filming it, mint it, and sell it. No, there's licensing issues, but the team can, and that's how we succeed with the partnerships.
So with that in mind, I mean, again, not to use the NFL as an example, you're essentially giving teams the infrastructure to be able to complete these activities. So the Baltimore Ravens wanted to take snapshots of Lamar Jackson throwing touchdowns, they could. They're just using your technology over someone else's.
100%. That's right.
Okay.
And one thing that we focus on is keeping everything in one app, that you don't have to rely on 2-3 different components to have your Web3 journey, right? It's going to be hard for a team to tell their fans to download MetaMask and then with MetaMask connect to, let's say, OpenSea, right? And yeah, you want to onboard, okay, you can do that through MetaMask now, but there's many steps involved before you get to where you want to get. We have everything in one app, right? Download the Locker Room app, the Locker ecosystem, and you can have your full journey in one house. And that's what I think is going to separate us from, everybody else that's out there. In the hockey world, I'm 100% confident that Pat is going to make Locker Room the standard for this to take place. But there's no stopping this from going to other sports as well. The business plan works. And what we have developed is top tier. Our developers have been around, some of them since 2009. Literally the beginning of the era. When you take a look at the UI, it's flawless, it's beautiful, it's perfect. So I really believe that we can be that one-stop shop for teams to offer everything they need for their players, for themselves, and their fans.
I'm still blown away about how you can onboard so many people potentially by having a QR code on the Jumbotron at a hockey game where they scan it and all of a sudden they're into a DApp that acts as Venmo, WhatsApp. It does so many things. I'm blown away by that, to where I'm just thinking it's just a matter of time for people to learn about the DApp and learn about what you're doing for this to catch fire. I'm wondering, who are the competitors? Like, who do you see as a competitor now? And specifically, I know hockey is a massive sport around the world, especially in the markets that you're targeting. A big part of me is wondering, like, okay, what's the ultimate goal? How do you get in front of FIFA? How do you get in front of the NFL? How do you get there? And who are you running up against? I'm just curious about those.
I mean, the only ones that we can tell you, there's a couple companies. There's one called Sweet. They're trying to work with the NHL now. They're going to do some NFTs. The other one was NBA Top Shot, but they're not wallets. They're just NFT marketplaces. They're just like an open sea for this particular brand that they spent millions on. There's a few competitors in Europe, but again, they're not. They're just NFT stuff. We met with executives of the league. I mean, the SHL, one of the biggest leagues in the world. It's the third biggest in the world. They basically told us, look, we had 2 interviews with other companies. They had PowerPoints. That's all they had. They had no platform. They had nothing. They were blown away. Like, the guy was literally minting NFTs of his kid. I was like, don't sell that. Your kid is like 2 years old. Like, just keep it in your wallet. He was loving it. Like, so you could see that excitement, and it makes you feel like, man, it's going to catch fire. So I really don't know if there's anyone that that can compete with us in the full ecosystem. It's just a matter of catching fire, like getting the right people into this and seeing it and using it,
So last year at the Super Bowl, Coinbase made it was a big deal because Coinbase had the commercial where it was just the QR code, right? Like, how many years from now is that going to be on TV in the Super Bowl or whatever, like a normal game, where you're going to be minting an NFT with your phone off a QR code? So it's October 2022. I have my kind of view on it. What would your guys, or not necessarily that specific thing, but when is it going to happen where it's a thing that's just done?
My guess, because I'm dealing with them every day, and I don't want to use the word ignorance, because I always say, that book, they say, grammar for dummies and things like that. I think that the way it's going, we're probably 24 months from mass adoption. Super Bowl 2025. The world is live minting NFTs in sports, and every game you go to, I want to buy that goal. I want to buy that fight, that hit, that coach going crazy. The fans, like, wouldn't it be cool? Fans going nuts, and that someone mints that of a fan. Like,
what if you mint yourself? What if you mint yourself going? Like they have the crowd shots, and you see yourself.
Well, you could keep it, but you could keep it. No one's gonna probably buy it.
No, but you know what? You brought up you said the right thing there, right? We all know that tokenization of life in general is going to take place, right? And whether that comes in the form of NFTs or however that comes, right? But we know that there's going to be a bridge happening where the real world information is going to come on chain, right? It's going to come into this new world of Web3, right? And then Web 4 and 5 is already coming, right? And Web 4 and 5 basically is, you yourself being the data point, right? And that is what we want to offer, right? That everybody has a way to play in this new digital arena and to show up. And it all starts with, address, and from there on you go. So that's our angle.
So we've gone over a bunch of stuff. I guess one of the things that's kind of outstanding question for me is the DAO. We've had a couple of people on the show who talked about their DAOs and what they're focused on. And could you talk a little bit about your DAO as it is right now? Is it active? Is it really pumping, or is it just a small team right now? Are there players involved in the DAO? Like, just anything you could give us on that.
Right now, the company is brand new. The project is relatively new. In order for us to operate it as a DAO at this moment is, not possible, right? There's too many decisions that have to happen quick, right? But what our end goal is to have the project itself, the app, the ecosystem owned and governed by the DAO. Okay, that is 100%, the long-term intention. And the DAO governance takes place through the locker token. Okay, so what we will do once we are established and set up and this thing is rolling and moving itself, yes, we can give that control over to the DAO, which is represented through locker token holders. Right now, though, that's not possible just because of the infancy stage that we're in. But we all know that things are going to happen on a global scale. So there cannot be any centralized governance behind it. And we think that's just going to make it attractive, for teams as well, and anybody to come in on it, because they see there isn't just, a single person behind it, a company that is, whoever. In our case, we're in the US, so everything is, much more attractive. But, a lot of these marketplaces are with companies that are registered in Cyprus, in Estonia, right? Cayman Islands, right? It's, a little bit different, right? So what we have here is, basically the setup ready for this running as a globally decentralized autonomous organization.
I really appreciate you guys being on here. I think I'm through all. I've learned a lot, and I really appreciate it. So if it's okay with you guys, I think we should move to the lightning round. And I got a good one for Pat. So Pat, you said you played professional hockey. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
What was the biggest hit you ever took on, out on the ice? Do you remember was there one in your mind that sticks out to you?
It's ironic because when you get hit that hard, you never forget. I'm telling you, it's crazy. But I'll tell you, my first year pro, I actually played in Dallas. Okay, I was 19 years old. And before the Dallas Stars moved to Texas, they were called the Dallas Freeze. We played at the old Cotton Bowl Stadium. And because we were selling out every night in Dallas, Norm Green, that owned the Minnesota North Stars, came down because he was getting like 6,000 a game in Minnesota. And here are these people in Texas are selling it out 18,000. He's like, I got to move my franchise. And that's why he moved the franchise. But there was a guy by the name of Jeff Bowden. He hit me so hard at center ice, I don't think I could breathe for about 10 minutes. I remember, I don't even know how I got to the bench, but I thought my lungs and my chest had collapsed. Just bang, just crazy. And I still remember that hit like it was yesterday. I'm 49, so 30 years ago.
Do you sit out for the rest of, you got to get back up and play 5 minutes later or
Oh, yeah. In today's game, they're a little softer. They might get a period off, but back then, you were getting back out there. There's no way around it. You were getting back out there.
Was there no goon on your team to go take care of?
Five or six of them, Matt. If you go a game now, you might see one fight, right? Maybe. Back when I played pro, there was 3 a period. If there was 10 fights a game, games took 3.5 hours. It was crazy.
Have you seen the movie Goon with Stifler from American Pie?
Yeah.
Where, is that more? How about this? True or false? Is that towards true or is that towards false? That movie.
I would say go back in time to when I started my first year pros, late 80s, early 90s. That's closer to true.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
it's much different in today's world. Now we're concussions and mouth guards and visors and helmets. Man, I didn't wear a helmet until my third year, and then it was like, okay, now we got to start wearing helmets. Like, helmets, like I had the long hair flowing back then.
So I was gonna get a haircut today, but then I was like, no, hockey guys, they
Don't
love
do it. I love the hair.
they love the long hair,
Going
and I
back,
kept
yeah.
it. I literally kept my hair long so we could record this with the keep the hockey flow, keep the flow. Called the lettuce. That's what we call it.
I love
Keep
it.
my lettuce
I love
going.
The salad. The salad.
Exactly. Bartlett, you got any that was my only lightning round I had. Sorry, not to leave you hanging, Dennis, but I don't have any. I don't have any other ones.
Please. That was good. That was a good laugh.
Well, hey guys, I really appreciate your time. I think this is a very cool project. It's not like you have to figure out what crypto is in the meaning of life to be able to get involved, right? And I think that's what's going to bring on the next round of adoption. So I think you guys are definitely on the right track, and I appreciate your time. Bartlett, any last words that you want to say?
No, thank you so much. Good luck. We're pulling for you. I'm just anytime there's a chance for a project to onboard millions of people, like I just can't wait to see how it works. I mean, I'm really pulling for you.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate it. Well, thanks for having us. We're super excited. And we'll be in touch here for sure. Emails, phone numbers, anything you guys need, just shoot us a message.
Very nice. All right. Well, have a great day, everybody.